Hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is HD StarCraft, and of course, I'm here for another Heart of the Swarm broadcast. And today we're going to be looking at another game with Liquid.TLO. He is going to be the red Zerg player at the top right-hand corner of the map, and his opponent down in the bottom left of Cloud Kingdom is going to be the blue Protoss player, BabyKnight. FX opens BabyKnight, in fact. So this is going to be a Protoss versus Zerg. And I'm very excited. These two players know each other pretty well. BabyKnight is a player from Denmark. I don't know how to say. How do you say someone from Denmark? I don't think it's Danish or Denmarkish or anything like that. I'm sure someone will correct me here, but I don't know my geography that well. Anyways, I do know that TLO is German, and he is a German player, so it's pretty simple for German, I guess, for German players to go ahead and say where they're from. Anyways, this is going to be a Zerg versus Protoss, and I just wanted to go ahead and ask you guys once again, if you guys have anybody or know anybody playing Heart of the Swarm Masters or better, feel free to have them send their replays into me at HDreplays@gmail.com. And that includes streamers, that includes yourselves, that includes your friends, it doesn't matter. And I'll be looking at those replays and of course casting them. For now, I'll be doing a little bit of a TLO replay pack, and this is going to be a Zerg versus Protoss once again. Very excited to see how this is going to go down. Of course, Heart of the Swarm is going to be coming out in a couple of weeks, in less than 2 weeks, in fact. So very excited to see what's going to happen to this game when it goes live. Of course, a lot of tournaments are going to be picking it up, in fact, and probably be doing a couple of tournaments myself if I get the time. If I find the time to go ahead and run those, I'll try to get those out to you guys as well. Maybe something like the PhD2 or something like that. We'll see. Anyways, we do have the probe and the drone in the eternal battle here, trying to figure out if we're going to get the hatchery down or not. In fact, TLO bypasses the probe entirely. He's going to go right over to the third and say, screw even trying to mess with your probe. I'm going right to make a hatchery at the third instead of the second, instead of the natural. So this probe is finding himself a little bit lonely. Is now going to make its way over to the third, and it's going to see that the drone has already become a hatchery. So a little bit late for that probe. Meanwhile, the Overlord is going to go over to the natural here and see what is going on. This is a pretty prototypical Protoss versus Zerg so far. But you never know. Things can obviously get pretty wild when you have a player like TLO controlling the Zerg. A couple of Zerglings will push away the probe and get rid of it as a new hatchery is going to come over at the third. So the little one here is going to play macro. He is not going to try anything too super fancy. And on a map like this, Cloud Kingdom, I do think that the way to play against Protoss, you do have to get a lot of expansions going as quickly as you can, because in my honest opinion, I do feel like it is a little bit, just a little bit, maybe a lot of it Protoss favored. Very hard, I feel like, to control a third hatchery and hold it down against attacks, because a Protoss can hide pylons over here and they can warp in units and obviously take this down very quickly. They can also just attack right through the front door, and it's so closed off, this entire area from the third to the natural, it's so choked off that it makes Protoss really strong and Zerg very weak, because they can't surround, they can't get that concave that they need in order to get that victory. So I do feel like the little one is going to have a little bit of an uphill battle to climb on this map. We do have the players actually ending up replacing themselves, because I guess they had a little bit of a disconnect. And just a sweet feature now, really, from Blizzard, because you can replace yourself, or you can replace any pro player if you have a pro replay. And I think that's really cool, because you can obviously pick up from where they left off and you can play the game. Or if you get disconnected, you can just resume from where you left off. So really cool. And BabyKnight here now saying, should I change up my strategy now, I guess, because apparently it's a new game or whatnot. But I don't think they will. I think they're gonna, I think the little one now saying you could still play the same way, you know, you don't have to change up anything, you could still do exactly what you were planning to do. But really, this is just the opening few minutes of the game, so nothing has been set in stone yet. The players typically, they don't make up their mind, they don't really have that strategy. You don't see what they're gonna do until in about the next few minutes. We're gonna figure out exactly what BabyKnight's planning to go for, and of course exactly what the little one's gonna go for. And I'm really curious, actually, is the little one gonna try to stick with that popular Roach Hydra strategy? And you guys might be saying, well, that's what he did against the Terran player, Baz, and that's true, but you can actually play that same Roach Hydra style against Protoss as well. And I even feel like it might even be better against Protoss because Roaches have always been pretty good against Protoss. Well, they're not very good against Mortal Sentry, obviously, but against most Warp Gate units, they're pretty solid. And Hydras are also they're not that good against Protoss until they got that speed upgrade. Then they became a lot better because they can dodge the Colossus and whatnot. So we'll see if the little one goes with a Roach Hydra strategy. He does have a Roach Horn on the way right now, and we do have a layer coming up as well. So we'll see if he adds on a Hydralisk Den once that layer finishes. Meanwhile, over on the bottom left-hand side of the map, what is BabyKnight planning for? He does have a couple of gateways at the top of the ramp, and it looks like he's going to be researching +1/+1, so he's going to be going with a ground-based army, it seems like, as he's got a couple of sentries out. He's even expanding to the third pretty quickly here. That was about a 7-minute and 30-second Nexus at the third. Very quick Nexus. Almost borderline greedy Nexus, I feel like. But the thing is, on this map, you can opt to go for a slightly earlier Nexus because it's not that hard to wall off this section right here with, you know, some buildings from the bottom of the geyser to the geyser all the way up to this location right here. You can wall it off. You can even wall off from here to here, cutting off the ramp. And then making a secondary wall from here to here. So I think exactly that is what BabyKnight is going for. And in fact, the little one is going for another expansion too. So it's kind of like both players are attempting to outgreed each other right here. And they're trying to obviously get the upper hand economically. So we'll see how that plays out. Phoenix is going to finally fly in for the Protoss player. And this is obviously designed to figure out what the Zerg player is up to. He is going to see the Hydralisk Den and the Roach Horn in transition, and that, I guess I was right. The little one is going to go for Roaches and Hydras against Protoss as well. Yeah, he loves his Hydras. He always tried to incorporate them even in Wings of Liberty. It just never really worked out all that well. Because they were not that great of a unit until they got that Hydra speed. In fact, interesting to note here, the little one is going for grooved spines before the muscular augments, and usually I feel like most Zerg players would opt to get the muscular augments first. Now, I'm not entirely sure why that is. We do have BabyKnight, though, pushing out with his army along with the Mothership Core right now. He is going to get force fielded. Those force fields, not the best. It is going to keep the Roaches separated for now, but BabyKnight is going to use this opportunity to attack this hatchery. This is a very weird attack. I mean, honestly, BabyKnight went for a very quick third Nexus, so his army is not that strong, but of course he can escape with the Mothership Recall at any point in time. And, you know, that's what I was saying at first. It was like very strange, I feel like, for a Protoss to attack at this timing, because he's obviously hasn't realized the full potential of the new Nexus yet, and it's not like he has all that many warp gates at home, but it was kind of like an awkward timing attack, and of course you can retreat at any time if you're Protoss now with the Mothership Core, and that is exactly what BabyKnight did. And so just trying to throw a wrench into the little one's machinery there, but TLO was able to keep the hatchery alive, which is very crucial. And now it looks like he's going to get that Hydralisk speed upgrade, so he really is going to stick with Roaches and Hydras here, as he's got a Hive on the way as well. I think the Hive, obviously, so he can get some Vipers out and eventually make the transition into Broodlords if he feels the need to. And we'll see how this is going to play out, but there are Colossus now in production. BabyKnight wise to go for the Colossus because, of course, the Colossus is the direct counter to the Hydralisk, speed or no speed. Now let's go ahead and take a look at some of these tabs here. Units lost, you can see the Zerg has lost a little bit more income. We can see that the Zerg player, the little one, has 93 drones right now. So he's got a great economy, just absolutely booming. Both players really pretty solid economies, and that's because they've gone for this macro-based opening. And it's paid off. Neither player has lost a large amount. You know, we saw BabyKnight try to exploit the little one's greediness, but it didn't end up working out for him. He was able to do some superfluous damage on the hatchery, but nothing too serious. Now, I think the little one is probably going to be gearing up for a pretty major attack, though. He's got 5 Vipers on the way. He's starting to plant down a couple of evolution chambers, and he's cutting off the rocks here in order to prevent the Protoss army from coming through the middle. And I think he's planning to make an attack over here at this Nexus. Now, BabyKnight has got to get more units to round out his army, obviously. Typically, in Heart of the Swarm now, you don't see Protoss players, you know, just going with one type of tech anymore, you know, Immortal Sentry or Blink Stalkers. Now, you've really got to round out your army to stop a Zerg player in Heart of the Storm, because they've got Roaches, they've got Hydras, they've got Vipers, they can go to Brute Lords eventually, and you need Templar, you need Colossus, you need Charge Lots, you need Blink Stalkers, you need everything. It just really makes this matchup a lot more well-rounded, a lot more interesting to watch, I feel like, in Heart of the Storm. Very, very excited to see how this is going to end up going down. We even have an Ultralisk coming out from the production tab as well. So just a little bit of everything with sugar on top, and we'll see who's going to get to eat the cake at the end of the day. The little one here is about ready to penetrate over to this Nexus, but the Templar have just finished up their Psionic Storm upgrade, and so BabyKnight is actually going to be the one who's pushing forward here. He gets Blinding Clouded though, but there comes the Time Warp, and the Colossus also get yanked in as well. Now the Time Warp is going to slow the forces as they try to push this Zerg army back. I think that BabyKnight got the better of that engagement and really was able to push all the way up into the neutral territory here. And now he's in a position of control. He's in a position to maybe make an attack against the Zerg player. The little one, realizing that this hatchery over here could potentially go down, is going to go ahead and sound the evacuation siren and is going to bring the drones over to the top left-hand side. And now is actually going to bring some of the drones back. I think he must realize that the Protoss army hasn't attacked yet, so it's not going to attack. BabyKnight is going to pull back, but I've got to say, BabyKnight's got the edge right now because he was just able to, you know, almost fearlessly push that Zerg army back. But when you talk about fear, the ultimate weapon here has come out for the Zerg, and that is the Ultralisks. These Ultralisks are 2-1 upgraded right now, and they have chitinous plating, so they are pretty heavily armored. Now, once the Ultras get up close and personal with the new way that they do damage, and it's basically just a base amount of damage, it's no longer extra damage only to armored. It's 38 overall in front of a cone of the Ultralisk. It is a massive amount of damage, and if they can get up close and personal, BabyKnight is going to be in a lot of trouble. But we'll see what happens. We do have Observer Speed coming out, and I guess it's not too critical of an upgrade, but we do have Charge Lots on the way as well from the Twilight Council. And Charge Lots are a pretty good way to stop Ultralisks if you can get enough of them on the field. I think that is the one way that Protoss can counter Ultralisks, short of going full-on Sky Toss. But we'll see here as BabyKnight is starting to push into the middle of the map. He is shredding out the creep tumors, looking for the best possible engage. The Zerg player right now is on 5 bases. The Protoss is on 4. BabyKnight needs to send a couple of Charge Lots or a Warp Prism or something, or a Pylon to take out one of these extraneous expansions. But he's instead going to send his Zealots over to this hatchery where there's a bunch of Ultras and Spinecrawlers waiting. And yeah, these Zealots have no way in hell of surviving, although they might get that hatchery. No! Oh my god, that was so close. 42 HP, are you kidding me? Just a couple more swipes from the Zealot's Psionic Blades and that would have been done for. But the little one, once again, somehow, someway finds a way to save that hatchery. And now he's bearing down the brunt of his army, although BabyKnight is wisely cutting off most of the open areas here with some buildings, and he drops a Time Warp Field in a brilliant position. Guardian Shield comes out as well. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better defense here from the Protoss, and oh my god, Psionic Storms too! The Ultras just cannot stand that type of firepower, but the Blinding Cloud's also shutting down the Stalkers in the background. The Mothership Core gets abducted, so it will get taken out by the Hydras. Just a bunch of different spells and abilities coming down here. Now the Hydras are in the meat of the storm, although a couple of the Colossus get yanked in as well. I don't know who's going to come out ahead of this battle. I think actually maybe BabyKnight has got the edge because he's got Photon Cannons back here as well. And yeah, BabyKnight is going to get the victory. Absolutely crazy attack, but we do have, what, 9 Ultras on the way here for the little one. Look at the bank for both players. As you know, this is the beauty when you watch two players going for a macro-based opening. When they expand greedily like this, you might lose a little bit of action in the beginning, but it sure as hell makes up for it in the end, especially when two players are as good as these two are. You know, FXO's BabyKnight and the Liquid's the little one. This is just a phenomenal Protoss versus Zerg. And you're seeing the full spectrum of abilities being used here. And it's not done yet. You can see that BabyKnight now is transitioning into potentially Sky Protoss, as he's got a Stargate on the way. And what is the little one preparing to go for? It looks like he's got a Spire, he's got Greater Spire, and he's even got pathogen glands for the infestors on the way as well. So he's really rounding out the tech tree as well as he possibly can. And he does have a hatchery coming up, stealing one of the Protoss hatcheries, it looks like, over on the left-hand side of the map. But, yeah, that Zealot is going to be able to take out this hatchery. Just a couple of Zealots being sent out here, but that should be able to finish off what remains over there. And some Hydras coming to try to save it, but they were a little bit too late. Meanwhile, the Ultralisks converging in the middle. Damn, that is a big and strong Ultralisk army. And I wonder right now, is the little one thinking maybe I need to lose some of these Ultras in order to make room for my Broodlords, because he does have Broodlords ready to go. He's going to abduct the Immortals inwards, and now he's going to send the Ultralisk in, but that is a lot of Stalkers and Archons as well. This is going to be a crazy battle. A lot of the Stalkers are shut down due to Binding Cloud, though. They cannot attack. Meanwhile, on the south side, we have Hydras that have been able to penetrate inwards into the Nexus, and now the Protoss army has to make up their mind. Where are they going to go to defend? It looks like they will fall back to the Nexus and hold their ground there. Big battle here as the Ultras continue to push down the ramp, but unfortunately for the Ultras, there's just too many Stalkers and Immortals and Archons, and this time there wasn't enough energy on the Vipers in order to throw down some Blinding Clouds. And there's a sight you don't see every day, Ultras retreating from fear of the Zealots, but it looks like they decide to turn around and finish it off. So, very, very close game right now. 184 to 200 supply. Resources lost. Pretty close, you know. The little one losing just a little bit more, which is what you tend to expect since he is Zerg and he makes more money than Protoss or Terran do in a typical, you know, StarCraft 2 game. Let's go ahead and look at some of these other tabs here. Pretty low current APM for BabyKnight. But of course, you know, APM, EPM, that's not the end-all be-all in StarCraft 2. A lot of charge lots now making their way over to the left-hand side. 323 is their upgrades, very heavily upgraded charge lots. I don't think these spine cars will be able to hold on here, but a couple of Ultras are coming in to try to save this hatchery. This is a pretty crucial hatchery as it's the one that has the most minerals and gas here. And BabyKnight decides to turn around and head home. Of course, now with the Ultras being able to cleave even charge lots, I mean, they are good against Ultras, but you know, the cleaving ability of the Ultras is just way too scary, and even the charge lots have to fall away, so they do end up retreating. Meanwhile, BabyKnight in the middle of the map here with the Immortals, the Stalkers, and the Archons ends up pulling back, not going to commit to an attack. In the bottom right hand corner, we have some roaches pounding on the shields here, trying to take out this Nexus, I guess. But that's going to be a pretty long time, and I don't think those roaches are going to be able to survive for much longer, as most of the Protoss army is making their way down here to save the Nexus. And that is going to be mission success. Meanwhile, on the production tab, 4 Stargates, and BabyKnight is making that dreaded tech switch into the air. And this is where the Ultras and even Broodlords can fall to the power of the Tempest. Tempest and Void Rays combined, even Carriers, it's a very viable option now against the late game Zerg, because really late game Zerg doesn't have much of an answer to that. Tempest absolutely shred Broodlords, and Carriers and Void Rays can dominate Ultras, obviously. Now those Zealots not going into the friendliest of places, but they were able to kill off the hatchery at the 11 o'clock position, once again shutting down mining time for the little one. And if you look in the income tab here, he's not, well, he is actually mining a pretty healthy amount, but he needs to get that hatchery reestablished and maybe even get another one over here at the 3 o'clock position. It's kind of going to come down to both of these late game armies clashing against one another. There's a High Templar using its feedback right there, getting creative. But one interesting thing is the little one is oversupply right now. He's actually making spines and spores and whatnot to make a larger army, of course, and now he's going to move in with his Ultra Broodlord army, and he's going to engage the Protoss. Most of the Tempests there were fungal, but they were able to expend a lot of their energy in the process, and they get a ton of their storms down, although most of the Zerg army has spread out here, mitigating the effect of the AoE, and some of the Ultras being sent down to the bottom right to shut down that Nexus. I think they will be able to do that. Meanwhile, the Ultras on the ground here getting pounded by the Tempest. Now, of course, the Tempests have 2 types of attack. They have Kinetic Overlord and Resonance Coil. Resonance Coil is much weaker against the ground. It is their ground-based attack. And speaking of ground-based attacks, these 2 Ultras were able to slaughter that Nexus before they were slaughtered by the group of the group of Zealots themselves. And it is such a close game right now. 172 supply, to 179. But one thing I'm a little bit worried about is, like I said before, the little one lost that 11 o'clock expansion, so he doesn't have that many minerals, but he's coming in here with a very large Hydralisk army. Are you kidding me? A switch right back down into tier 2 as he realizes, hey, you're going Sky Toss? All right, well, I'm just going to go Hydras then. I'm not going to try to go Corruptors. I'm not going to try to counter that with air-based units. I'm just going to go with my tier 2 Hydras, and they are maximum upgraded. So the only thing they really fear here, I think, is potentially Sonic Storm. A lot of Hydras can keep their distance away from Archons, but I think that the little one is just going to pull away regardless. He's going to let this army push in to the heart of the Zerg base. Meanwhile, I don't know where he's retreating to. He's going to the top left-hand side. I think he was anticipating these charge lots from going over to the 11 o'clock expansion, but most of the Protoss army now actually falling back because the little one was able to send a small squad of Hydras and an Infestor. And I think these 3 Hydras and that Infestor literally just saved the little one from losing this game, because this army could have just pushed right into the natural and then into the main. And if a Zerg player loses all these critical tech structures, I mean, it is very, very hard to come back from. So I think that small squad just saved the little one, and now he's actually going to find these charge lots. I don't know why BabyKnight's continuing to retreat with them. Actually, he is going to be able to rendezvous with the core of his army, so I thought maybe for a second there he should have just turned around and attacked, but he was able to rendezvous with the core of his army, saving, I don't know, about a quarter of his charge lots there. But money saved is, you know, money that is not spent. And right now BabyKnight, interesting transition now back into massive amounts, quantities of Templar here. And of course the reason for that is he realizes, all right, I'm facing off against a lot of Hydras, and I've got to go with a lot of Templar. Very, very smart decision making here. Both players are just, you know, they're constantly playing a game of technological rock, paper, scissors, and they're trying to get the upper hand here. We'll see how this closes out, how this is going to conclude. But looking at the Protoss army, man, that is just so strong. That is power overwhelming is the word I would use to describe it. And I don't know if the little one is going to have enough to actually stop this army. I mean, yeah, he's got a great, you know, infusion of Hydras and Ultras and whatnot, but is it actually going to be enough? And now he's got another thing to worry about, as some charge lots have found their way into the main base. And 3 charge lots. They don't take very long to take down a Hive. Will the Ultras and Zerglings be able to save their main home? I don't think so. The Hive has gone down. And now the Hydralisk Den is actually going to be next to fall, I think, unless the little one can save it in time. Meanwhile, though, there's a big battle going on, and the Hydra's trying to get out of the way. They don't want to fight head-to-head with the Archons, waiting for the Ultras to get in front, and now a bunch of storms coming down. Oh, this is just going to be absolutely brutal for the little one. And even if he was able to beat that ground army, what about the Tempest in the skies? The little one has to call GG, and FX Open's BabyKnight is victorious. Beautiful StarCraft 2 Heart of the Storm game there, and I just really, I want to call attention to you guys with the way Protoss versus Zerg works out in Heart of the Storm. I think it's just absolutely beautiful to watch, because no longer is it this kind of 15-minute 2-base timing attack. Now you see a lot of more evolution in Protoss versus Zerg. Makes the game, makes this matchup in particular very, very cool to watch. Very fun. A lot of spells, a lot of abilities, and that was a beautiful PVZ right there. Now, anyways, if you guys have any great Heart of the Storm replays like this, feel free to have them sent in to me to HDreplays@gmail.com. That can even include links to, you know, replay packs or anything like that, because I can't scour, you know, the internet 24/7 as much as I would like to. I do have other things to do. So if you guys have any links or anything like that, feel free to send them to me. But for now, this is HD StarCraft. I will be signing out. I'll see you guys later. Peace out.